Chapter 36. Web of the Pattern. Master Gill took them to the common room to feed them, and sat at their table in the corner. Ran noted that the famine was already resulting in half portions, and wondered what would happen when it got worse, so he treated his meal as if it was a feast. Gill asked them to tell him their tale, so he'd best know how to help. The boys exchanged a look, and with a deep breath, Ran told Gill they barely understood themselves. He kept the shadow spawn out of the story, telling him that some men were after them and other friends. They always appear whenever they think they're safe. Moraine had helped and said their pursuers were dark friends. Tom hadn't trusted her but stayed because of Owen. They'd been separated from their friends in an earlier attack on their way to Whitebridge. Once they were there, Tom had saved them from another attack. Since then, they've been dodging repeated attacks until they reached Camelin, with Tar Valon being the end goal. They hope their other friends will meet up with them here. Matt chipped in to say that's if they were still alive. Rand warned Gill that helping them may bring him trouble. Gill told them, "Can't say I want trouble, but it won't be the first I've seen. No bloody dark friend will make me turn my back on Tom's friends. Now if your northern friends arrive in the city, I'll hear about it. There's always people keeping an eye on the comings and goings of people like that, and word spreads." Rand asked about going to Elida, but Gill shook his head and told them their connection to Tom would put them at odds with her. It may even make things worse if she decided to lock them in a cell to interrogate. There'd be the same risk with going to the Queen's Guards, and although they would deal with the Dark Friends, they would report it to Elida. They're caught in political issues that are a foggy mire. The cook motioned to Gill, who told the boys that she probably wants to complain about the rats which are plaguing the city. He may as well be married to her. He tells them he'll get a maid to show them to their attic room, and left them to finish their meal. Rand encouraged Matt to finish his meal. He needs his strength if they're to reach Tar Valon. Matt bitterly snapped that all this time it's been about getting to Camelin and finding the others, who aren't even here. And now it's getting to Tar Valon. Rand told him that they're alive, and so are the others, and he won't give up. Matt then asked what kind of person offers help like Gill just did, and shrugs off possible Dark Friend attacks. It's not natural. Rand just snapped at him to eat, then thought about the rats spying and possibly reporting to a Fade. He wondered if he should have warned Gill. Once shown to their room, Matt threw himself into the furthest bed and turned his back to Rand, clutching his dagger. Rand asked him if he was just going to hide, and Matt told him he was tired. Rand left the room to speak with Master Gill again, but couldn't find him. While he sat in the common room, he watched one of the Queen's Guards poke his head in to check for trouble. Wanting to stay out of sight, he asked a maid if there was somewhere he could sit in quiet, and she suggested the library. He let her know he wanted to talk with Gill, then followed her directions. On entering the library, he was amazed at the number of books, roughly 400, and he eagerly began to pick them up. He smiled when he saw the travels of Jane Farstrider, and he found Voyages among the Sea Folk, which Tam had always wanted to read. A throat cleared behind him, and he turned to apologise. He stared in shock and tried to draw his sword. It was a Trolloc. It was tall enough to almost touch the ceiling. A broad nose, droopy eyebrows, saucer-sized eyes, and tufted ears sticking through its mane. A deep rumbling voice said,
"I wish you humans wouldn't do that."
Its ears twitched, and it sounded sad as it said,
"So few of you remember us. It's our own fault, I suppose. Not many of us go out among men since the shadows fell on the ways 6 generations ago, right after the War of the 100 Years.
Rand stood with his mouth hanging open, and noticed the dress of the creature. It wore wide knee-high boots, trousers, coat, and held a book in its hand, making it look tiny. He stuttered an apology, then introduced himself. The creature engulfed Rand's hand with its own, saying,
"I am Loial, son of Arent, son of Halan. Your name sings in my ears, Randalfor."
Rand sensed the ritual in those words and returned the greeting. Loial remarked that humans are so excitable. When he arrived in Camelin, children cried, people screamed, and he was chased by a mob calling him a Trolloc. He was almost getting upset until the guards intervened. It's been 4 days and he's barely left the library since. This is not why he left the steading. This last comment unlocked something in Rand's mind, and he exclaimed, "You're an Ogier! Wait! 6 generations? You said the War of the 100 Years. How old are you?" He worried he offended Loial, but the Ogier actually became defensive.
90 years. In only 10 I'll be able to address the great stump. I think the elders should have let me speak, but they were deciding if I could leave or not."
Rand was trying to wrap his head around someone being the same age of Senbui, needing permission to leave, and said at least they let him go. Loial looked at the ground as he admitted that after waiting for a year, he worried he'd already be of age before they decided. He put a long handle on his axe, as they say, and left anyway. The elders always called him hot-headed. Rand bit his lip not to laugh. If Loial was hot-headed, he couldn't imagine what most Ogier were like. The mayor would never let a matter run for half a day in the council, let alone a year, and the thought of home brought a pang of homesickness. He asked Loial why he wanted to leave home. He wishes he never did. Loial was animated, eyes bright and ears stiff, as he told him he wanted to see what he'd read about in the books. Most of all, he wanted to see the groves with the great trees. Rand asked if he was visiting the Ogier-built cities as well. After all, Cayman is one. Loial explained that stoneworking was something Ogier learned during the break-in. It was a period of time called the Exile, when they couldn't find their steading. They grew the groves of great trees outside each city to remind them of home and helped stave off the longing, which was a physical condition that developed before they finally found the steading again. The Ogier only really leave now to repair the damage humans caused to their cities with their walls. He bumped into some when he was in Cairn, and he left very quickly when they asked how old he was. Ultimately, the pattern gave the Ogier stoneworking, but the groves came from their hearts. Rand said he didn't know the Ogier believed in the pattern. Loial assured him that they do. Their lives are threads that the pattern weaves. It gave them the break-in, the exile, stonework, the longing, and their return to the steading. Humans jump around as their threads are so short. He immediately apologized to Rand and said that the elders say humans don't like being reminded about their short lives. He didn't mean to hurt Rand's feelings. Rand chuckled and said it was all right, and Loial added that humans do so much in their short lives, while Ogier just stay in their steading. He may be outside for now, but eventually he'll have to return. Half the cities he read about are gone, and the others are known by different names. Caemlyn built over its grove, while in Tyr and Ilion they've become pastures or parks. All memories and dreams are gone. Loial seemed so sad that Rand told him not to give up. If he does, he may as well be dead. Loial nodded and said that was the way of Rand's people, then recited,
"Till shade is gone, till water is gone, into the shadow with teeth bared, screaming defiance with the last breath, to spit in sight-blinder's eye on the last day."
He paused as if waiting for a response, but Rand stayed silent until he asked if the great trees are like Avendasora. The Ogier was shocked and told Rand he should know better. Aielmen do say the oddest things. Rand protested. "What? I'm not an Aielmen. I'm from the Two Rivers. I've never even seen an Aielmen." Loial apologized, but perked up when Rand told him his home was once Manetherin. He told Rand,
"Your pain sings in my heart. We could not come in time."
Then he bowed to Rand, which the boy reciprocated. He asked Rand why he was so far from home, and for a moment Rand paused, then found the entire true story flooding from him. He desperately needed someone to talk with, and nothing under the light would ever make him believe Loial was a dark friend. He felt such a trust in the Ogier already. When he finished, Loial announced,
"Tarbiran."
To Rand's confusion, the Ogier explained that the wheel weaves the threads of the pattern of people's lives. Almost all only have room in the pattern for minor changes, and cannot accept major ones. Rand said that's like a villager choosing to be a farmer, but he can't decide to be king. Loial nodded and added that when the pattern needs correcting, it creates threads that bend all the others around it. That's a Taviran. They can affect whole towns or even the whole pattern, and the bend in the web, Tar Maralian, can last weeks or years. Arthur Hawkwin was a Taviran, as was Lutheran Kinslayer. Elder Hammond would be proud of how well he'd listened. Rand tried to deny being Taviran, but Loial told him,
"I could almost feel the pattern swirl just listening to your tale. You are Taviran, and maybe your friends too."
He paused and nodded to himself, then added,
"I wish to travel with you, Rand."
Incredulous, Rand asked if he'd heard anything he told him about what was chasing him. What about the groves? Loial told him there is a fine grove in Tar Valon that the Aes Sedai keep well tended. Rand may not be another Arthur Hawkwin, but for now the world will shape itself around him, and even Elder Hammond would want to see that happen. Rand hesitated. It would be nice to have someone else along, with the way Matt had been behaving. Rand had felt alone at times, and Loial was a calming presence. He may be young for an Ogier, but he had a wealth of knowledge. But how would they hide someone 10 foot tall? He told Loial he didn't think it was a good idea. Even if Moraine finds them, they'll be in danger all the way to Tar Valon. He tried not to think that he'd never see the others again. Loial tried to reassure him that his friends are well, and Rand's throat was too tight to speak. He asked Rand if he would keep him company while he was in Camelin, and play stones. Rand happily agreed and told him that if they did ever meet in Tar Valon, he'd have to show him the grove.
Thanks for listening. Please like, share and subscribe and help get a new channel off the ground. Thank you.